Aw, shit. Here we go again.
Welcome to the Sloppy Book Club podcast. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Celese, and welcome to season 4, episode 7. On this week's episode, we will be chatting with fantasy author EJ Mellow, which we are super excited about.
Yes.
We will be talking with her to talk about her newest release, Scorched Skies. So I'm super excited to dive into this whole book and just all
Mhm.
her books because we're huge fans. We
Yes.
do have drinks, a game, and we'll get right into it. So Jenny, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a pineapple Moscato, and I've already had it, but this is all I had in the bottle, so I filled it as much as I can. So I wouldn't have normally filled it this much, but
Mhm.
this is all I had left, so I figured why not just take the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. I'm scared to open this because I did drop the cans. But
Oh
yeah, this
my
is
God.
the Carlson Orchards Raspberry Shandy. It's a hard fruit cider, so it has a raspberry lemonade in it. I'm a huge fan.
I'm like,
I'm a huge fan of their Honey Crisp, so I know I'll enjoy this.
awesome.
Yeah, it's juice. That's a
Yeah.
problem. I'm probably gonna stock up for the summer.
Good. Have some for me
Got
when
it.
I go over.
Yes, for sure.
All right. So let's bring her on.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Hi.
Hi.
So happy to have you on.
Yes, we're so excited.
I'm sorry I just ghosted you yesterday.
We knew that wasn't the case. I was
Yeah.
like, that's not her. We were like, no way.
Well,
Like
we're
something
like,
went
oh my
wrong.
God, we hope everything's okay. We
Yeah.
got nervous. We were like, we hope everything's fine. And then we're like, it might be just a time difference. And
Oh my God. Yeah. I was mortified when Sarah was
no,
I did a really big bad. I was like, what?
No. Oh, I
we've
feel
done it
bad.
before. So we get it. We know the
We do.
anxiety that comes with getting that message. So no
Yes.
worries.
Well, thanks for being able to do it today.
Yes. We're
By the
really
way, we're like
excited.
super duper nervous. I'm like freaking out right now, just so you
Mhm.
know.
Jenny.
It does not get easier.
No, it does
I
not.
mean, what episode number is this?
So this is
I,
season 4, episode 7, but we might have reached past our 100th
I
episode.
think so.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
You.
you.
But only a year of doing author interviews.
Yes.
So it's been a little over a year now,
Yeah.
but it's definitely not easy.
No, it's not. Because
I
we get nervous even with each other still. Like we'll
Hmm.
get on and we're like, oh my God, hopefully I don't burp or something, you know?
Yeah, but people are here for the burps. People are here for all that stuff.
Yes, they
No,
are.
that's true. That's true.
So
But
how do you normally edit all this stuff together? Like who's the one that has to do all that?
it's Jenny.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jenny is the best when it comes to the
I
edit.
try.
I'm more of uploading everything and then she edits.
Hmm.
I had the really easy job. Although I have messed up a few times with posting the episodes late. I put 7 p.m. instead of 7 a.m.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've done that a few times too for meetings because it's like
Yeah,
default AM.
for sure.
Well, I'm excited.
We are really, really excited to have you. Um, so we know you're going to be talking about Scorched Skies, which is your newest release. But for our listeners listening in, can you just give us a little glimpse of who EJ Mello is? Just introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm really bad at these types of things. So
We get it.
my name's EJ Mello. I write fantasy, romantic fantasy. That's my main genre. Scorched Skies is my eighth full-length novel. Um, it's a duology. It's Icarus inspired emphasis on that. It is not a retelling. Yeah, and it just follows a winged hero, a horned heroine, and is a lot of forbidden romance. There's a lot of like political stuff in there. It honestly was like, can I curse on this?
Yeah.
Of
Okay.
course.
It was definitely like a fuck the patriarchy kind of book. And I think
Love
it kind of,
that.
yeah, speaks even more now to this, what we're going through. But um, yeah, I wanted to kind of gender flop the Icarus tale because there was so much about it to me that felt very glass ceiling. You know, there's stuff with like listening to your elders and that, and like just listening to like how you're supposed to be, which of course you should in some instances, but it just felt very constricting to the character. And I was just thinking about how women in society, I'm not talking about who I am as an author, I'm talking about the book now.
That is okay.
That's fine.
That is,
But yeah, that's why I gender flopped it because I just felt like it was very much when and even there's been a lot of people that have rewritten the Icarus myth. They've made it like a lot longer. They've dove into Icarus as a character, but still, every time I read it, it was very much like this person that was like meant to be quieted, that was meant to follow orders, that was not meant to stand out. Obviously, because the father was trying to protect the child from a nefarious king. But again, it just felt very much like a woman in the world and like don't grow too tall or you'll get cut, or like, the whole getting nailed down thing. And it just felt like that kind of story of all of us wanting to shine, wanting to fly, wanting to be loud, and not said that that's wrong.
Mm,
So that's kind of why I switched it to a girl.
I love that.
love that.
I do. So
So,
we were actually going to start off with a little game.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So it's a most likely question thing. So we're gonna ask you a most likely to blank, and you're gonna tell us whoever, any character of yours at all, who it
Hmm.
matches well with. And then we'll get into like your writing and your books and all that. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So who is most likely to die in a horror movie?
Oh man.
I have an answer to that.
Are we thinking like the Musai series and
it
then
could
Anybody,
be
yep, any
anyone.
of your books.
um I think if you were to go way, way back, the Dreamland series, I feel like Becca might die, Molly's best friend, only in the sense I feel like she would die like protecting somebody, not in like a silly way. Um, and then for man, I don't know, the sister, it wouldn't be any of the sisters.
No, I don't
Oh,
think so.
see.
You think
So
it would be
I didn't read the other series, so I can only go as far back as the Musai series.
yeah.
Mm,
So
same.
I chose Naya because dancing isn't gonna help her. If
But her
it's a
powers
ghost,
could
the
really,
fire, the dancing, none of that's gonna help her.
yeah, I guess
And
it
I thought of
depends.
Darius.
Yeah, yeah, Darius. I guess it depends on the villain in the horror film. Like,
Yeah, for
That's
which
sure.
one are
true.
we talking about here?
That's true. Yeah,
Mm.
I left that very vague.
Yeah,
All right, so who is most likely to borrow a book and never return it?
definitely Naya.
Okay.
I would say Hugh from Scorched
Hmm,
Skies.
okay,
Yeah, I think those
I
two.
could see that. Okay.
Hmm.
I was thinking Tamlin because she's like super busy on the go, so she'll forget about the book. She won't even read it. Most likely to fall asleep during sex.
Oh, Hugh. For sure. I think it's Hugh.
I
And
didn't have
maybe
an answer.
Arabessa. No offense. I mean, her and Zimri have great sex, but I think she'd just be like too tired from all her duties.
Yeah, she's
Yes,
busy.
she's
Yeah.
a
She's taking
busy
care of
lady.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like she takes on so much. So,
Yes.
Yeah. She would definitely, especially if he was like trying to be really romantic and drag things out. I think she would.
She's like, hurry up, come on.
Yeah.
I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
Most likely to know all the office gossip.
Definitely Naya.
Okay.
Definitely Hugh. I feel like oh my God, now I'm forgetting her name. Who's Zimri's business partner? Katerina.
Mm.
Kat. I feel like she would have know all the
Okay. I
hmm
was thinking Tamlin because she's so like she wants to be in the know and she wants to get out there, but she lays low and she's good at hiding and sneaking around. So,
Yeah. I feel like she's one of those people that's like, it's not my business. Like
mm,
it's just like I can't. Like I'm not where Hugh kind of just like stands near walls just to hear.
And I would say Tanwin as well, only because she can use the animals to get like
Mm.
the gossip.
Oh
So
yeah.
Ooh,
I
that's
feel
a good
like
thought.
Yeah, if she
That's
wants
good.
gossip, she could
yeah.
If
definitely
she
get
wants it, yeah.
Mhm.
Agree. All right. Most likely to forget their partner's birthday.
Oh my gosh. These are real red flag questions. Um, oh man. I don't know. I can't answer that one. Who
I
do you
couldn't
think?
answer that one either. I was thinking about it, and at first I thought Tanwin, but I feel like she would know. She would know. She
Yeah.
would
I
remember.
feel like all the characters are like so in love, like they wouldn't, that's not something like they
Yeah.
would do.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Tamara doesn't have that many people in her life to
Hmm.
forget.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
Okay, so most likely to win a reality show.
Ooh. Ooh. It depends on which one it was. I feel like Aloes would. I definitely think,
Because he's hot.
yeah, because he's hot, and I feel like he would like,
Temptation Island or something.
yeah, and he would like do things to like win. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like just not good things.
Make sure
I
he
love
has
that.
his shirt off half the
I love
time.
that.
Hmm. Hmm.
I was
Most,
thinking Lark,
Yeah,
honestly, because
mm,
everybody loves her.
that's
I
true.
do love
Sweetie.
her.
And I feel like
Um,
she's one of those people that can like charm. She's like ruthless, but she can charm you and
Hmm.
then also have nefarious
that's true.
plans.
That's very, very true. Most likely to no show at the altar on their wedding day.
No one. No one.
You're like, how dare you?
I do think that Alos and Naya would elope. I don't think they'd have a wedding.
Mm,
Yeah, I agree. They're busy. They're on the go.
Yeah. They're
Yeah,
like that would be a very spontaneous decision at some port and they would just be like, let's go get married.
oh my
agree.
God, I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't tell
Because I
anyone.
can see it. I can
Yeah.
totally see that. Oh
Same.
my God. That just unlocked something for me. That,
Yeah, it's a good novella. It's a good short story.
yeah. Write that down.
Yeah.
Most likely to be the first to grab the mic at karaoke.
Well, I don't know if I would I don't know if Lark would do it. I think she can obviously, but I feel like
Right.
she'd
Can,
be
yeah,
nervous.
We don't want to hurt anyone.
Yeah.
that's true.
Um, I feel like Zimri would probably do some crooning.
Ooh, okay.
Right.
And Hugh for sure. Hugh is just like he just
I
wants to
love
have a good
you.
time. Yeah.
He was a cool character.
Mhm.
Most likely to fart in an elevator full of people.
Oh my goodness. Naya.
I could totally see
Oh my
her.
God.
She would
And
say something pithy and everyone would forgive her.
mhm. Like I honestly feel like she would even like hide it kind of.
Yeah,
She
she's
would
been
just do it.
She'd be like,
yeah.
okay, and
Yeah.
like you don't fart. And our last one is most likely to laugh at a funeral.
Oof. Well, all the sisters, I think, would end up laughing, but
Yeah.
in like a loving way, you
Hmm.
know? Like I think that kind of goes hand in hand with funerals, like you're grieving, but then you like somebody does something silly and then you all just kind of laugh.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like all of them
Okay.
together. If they were together,
Thinking,
I think they
I
could
was
do it.
thinking Naya because she probably put them there, so
Oh yeah.
she chuckled a little bit at it. All right, so let's get into your writing process before we get into the book. When did you decide to become an author, and like what gave you that that moment of I'm just gonna sit down and do it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I got my start in advertising. I went to school for visual communications, art direction, graphic design, things like that. And was in New York City. And the thing with advertising is that when you're in the creative side of it, you're constantly making creative outputs, designs, stuff like that, and it's getting critiqued. Like you just sit in a room and people critique your work over and over and over again. And that's just kind of the way it is. Um, So I felt like I've always written stories since I was like a kid. I would draw them. I would like trace over comic books and like write my own like things that they were saying.
It's
So like I always
cute.
was a visual like storytelling in different ways. I just never really thought that writing could be a profession at the time. And it wasn't like the internet wasn't the way it was now, where you could just like find all these resources of how to get into it. So I went the like visual communications route. But in that time of like making ad campaigns and writing commercials, I was just desperate for a place that I could create that felt safe and mine. So what ended up happening was I had this dream that was reoccurring like every night for like a week. And it was really weird. It's like every time I would go to sleep, it like picked up right where it was. And at the end of the 5 days, the next day the dream stopped and I like missed the characters and it was really weird. I was like, what happened to them? Like I missed them. And then that's where my idea for the dreamer came into play, where I was like, what if we spend half of our lives asleep? Like, what if that was a whole other world that you went into and this girl did this? And I also new adult wasn't a thing. My first book, I think it was 2015 when I published The Dreamer. And new adult wasn't a thing. It wasn't on the shelf. It was only young adult, and that was still like impetus. Like Twilight was like just getting off the ground. But I wanted to write characters that weren't teenagers because I was in my 20s. I was like, why does everything have to end when you're 16? Like why is it like
Mhm.
that's like it? Once you hit your 20s and 30s, you're like all your adventures are behind you. So I was like, I wanted to write a girl in her 20s, the characters in their 20s, 30s, and like things happen then. Um, so yeah, I just went home and I had this idea and I outlined it and I just started writing it. And I would write it in early mornings and late at night. Um, and then eventually I had a manuscript and a friend said, this is good. You should try and find an editor or something to like look at it. And that's kind of just how that all spiraled into what it was.
That's
But it was
awesome.
really me trying to find a creative outlet that wasn't being like constantly critiqued, which obviously now ironically like that's that's all
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
But it's still like when you're writing it, it still feels very satisfying in the sense like you have complete creative control over this thing and then you just kind of get it out and people can interpret it however they want, but it doesn't change the text.
Right. Hmm.
I
I
love
love
that.
that.
And so Lisa and I talk about this all the time, how like you're so creative, your whole family is freaking creative. And we're like, can
Oh,
they just
thanks.
give us a little bit of that?
Right. Like
We
Oh,
need
I wish I could draw and like do things like that. It's so amazing. And I love that you as an author, you don't people don't have to guess what your characters look like because you're so talented that you can show everyone what they look
oh.
like. There's no
yeah.
like room for interpretation because you have that. But what I also wanted to know, picking back off what you said, where you trace over some of your comics and things like that. Do you still have that, or do you have any of those by any chance?
Probably not because
Okay.
I feel like I made the characters like kiss. So I feel like I was like tracing them so they would like be kissing. And I
Okay.
probably like ripped them up in like
Hmm.
Oh my
embarrassment so no one
God.
could find them. But yeah, it was always Archie comics or like Catwoman. I was like obsessed with like DC, Batman, that whole world.
Hmm.
So I just like wanted to make up my own stories because like I
I just,
never, some things would happen in the plot. And I was like, I guess that's what fanfic is.
yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I wanted to go this way instead.
But you made like your own, which is like, people used to
Yeah.
go on like little chat rooms or discords and things like that. And here you are making your own little comic. I love that. Now, speaking of your writing process and how everything went, how was the process of going from being an indie author to traditionally published author? And how does the marketing and social media play in the role, of in having a publisher? How has that been for you?
They're big questions.
Yeah, sorry.
No, they're good
Sorry.
questions. And I think it's really contextual to the author and the publisher.
Hmm.
So for me, I wrote the Dreamland series is indie published, and then after that, I wrote The Animal Under the Fur, which is a contemporary action romance. So those four books were indie, and then I started writing Song. Um, and as I was writing Song, my agent, who I had for the entirety of my other stuff, they actually picked me up with Animal Under the Fur, and then they took my other catalog for sub rights, which means selling it to foreign publishers. Which is very common now with a lot of indie pub. That's like there's so many. There was only a few agents that represented indie authors at the time. And Brower Literary was like she was the one, and now she's huge, and now she's part of Parker Fine and Brower. If anybody is interested in that, who's listening. But so that transition was interesting in the sense that I was writing my next book. My agent was read Song or was reading like as I was writing, because she's a really good, Amy Ashcroft is my like day-to-day agent. She's really good at developmental edits. And she was like, I think we can put this on sub. So she's the one that recommended doing it because to me, before I was like publishing a bunch of indie books, if you asked me out of the gate with the first book, I've been like, yeah, let's go trad. Like, because that's all people know at the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think Colleen Hoover, literally her first book, Slammed, was published, and then like 2 years later, I published my book because there was no one who was doing it at all at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so that the transition, long-winded answer is that it was progressive and slow because I didn't have it was my agent that kind of kicked that off. And then I was writing Naya's book. Song was done, being submitted. I was writing Naya's book. The process is just snail pace. And I was getting really antsy. Like as an indie author, you write a book and you've seen this with probably many people that you've interviewed and just being online. Like you can get things out quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for different reasons, now knowing kind of what goes on behind the scenes with trad. But I just was like, we were waiting for someone to buy it. Again, there wasn't a romantic fantasy new adult genre. There like really wasn't. Sarah J. Maas still was publishing her other books, ACOTAR, in the young adult space. So we were
Mm-hmm.
all like shocked there. So yeah, so that's kind of how it happened. And then eventually Montlake bought it, and then bought this series. And then I kind of just now have funneled into it. And I think now that I'm in the trad space, I think it'd be really hard for me personally to go back to indie, only in the sense so much has changed now
Mm-hmm.
that I haven't been able to keep up with all the amazing work that indie authors do on a daily basis. Um, that I just think I'd be like really behind. Like I'd feel really behind. Like they just have such a knowledge of like all of the spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And so much has changed since the last time I indie pubbed that I think it would be not impossible, but it would just be harder, I think, for me to like go back into that pool fully.
I
For
bet.
sure. Mm-hmm.
So how do you prepare to write? Like when you're about to sit down and write, what do you have around you? Do you have snacks, drinks? Like how do you get into that headspace of starting to write anything?
Like actually drafting it
Hmm.
or just starting the process.
Whichever one you want.
Well, I'm a huge I plot like I'm an A type human. Like I have lists, I plot, like I'm looking at my board right now for the second book of Scorched Skies. And so I spend maybe like a month plotting and going over that. I chapter outline, I do it on note cards. It's almost to the point of like procrastinating writing
Mm,
because I just like want to world build a lot.
yeah.
And then finally, when I, get the strength to sit down, because I really don't like drafting. I will say that I don't like drafting. I love editing. Editing is like my love language. So drafting, it does take me a while to get my butt in the seat. But when I do, I usually need like some sort of tea or drink. I usually have like three. Um, I don't listen to music. It's interesting. When I was writing contemporary, like when I wrote Animal Under the Fur, I could listen to a bunch of different music. But with the Musai series, I listened to like mostly classical because like they were musicians and stuff. So I was trying to
Yeah.
like listen to them. And then with Scorched, I like purely listen to like the sound of the forest. If I was writing Tanwin, I would do like rain when it was Zolia. It was just very atmospheric stuff.
That's really cool.
Otherwise, I don't know why I like
Yeah.
couldn't get into it. So it's
Hmm.
usually some sort of music like that, a drink, and then hopefully my toddler doesn't like burst into the room every once in a while.
And I think I could speak for Celeste as well, but I absolutely love watching your process. Like when you
Yes.
post like where you are, like all those little like boxes that you're
Oh
checking off
man.
and how far you get. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, let's see what she posts,
Yeah.
what she posts.
I
I'm
know
the
it's
same
kind of
way. I'm like, oh
it
my God, she's on this chapter now. And like, I get excited. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
soon, soon, soon.
I'm
It's
glad it's giving others joy because I
Yeah.
definitely think it's sometimes I feel a little Looney Tune, but it's just how it gives me so much joy to like cross
Mhm.
that box off or like see,
Us too.
Yes, I love
yeah,
seeing it
too. Yeah.
because
And it
that
Yeah.
feels
means it's so
impossible in the
much
beginning.
closer.
Yeah. In the beginning, I'm like, how am I going to do this? I'm like, how am I going to fill this all in? And then
Mhm.
when you look up after a couple of months and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm there, I'm getting there. It's
Yeah.
really weird.
I feel like your space like screams like calm and like
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
just
Well, both
nice.
of your spaces are stunning. Like
Oh,
your
thank
bookshelves are
you.
like laughing at these bookshelves.
Now, when you are writing, have you ever had to go through like writer's block? And how do you kind of like navigate that?
Yeah, I definitely go through writer's block, even I guess I want to call it writer's block, but more like plot walls.
Mhm.
So because I always know like where I want to go. It's just some of the details going there. So I kind of see it as like I have a house, but it's taking me time to decorate it. So like I have to like be in the space and like it kind of go through each room chronologically. I definitely am a chronological writer. So when I hit so like I'll usually outline about 15 chapters and I don't outline. And then when I'm almost done, I start seeing the next ones and then I
Mhm.
can outline those. And then the same thing. So it's like you're almost like you're traveling and you're just slowly seeing more and more of what's in front of you.
Mhm.
And when I hit those plot walls, I ask for help. I usually tell my husband, I just talk at my husband, and he's like, I don't know who these people are, what's happening. And so I'm like always all over the place. And I just need to hear it out loud. And then the biggest help, honestly, is my agent. Like her and I will have she's just like an encyclopedia of literary knowledge and storytelling. And so it's really great to get on the phone with her and just brainstorm. So we have these like brainstorming sessions where again I talk at her. We throw things back and forth, and then usually that's when something sparks. Um, Especially with this next book, I knew how I needed it to end, and there's just certain things that I was like, how do I like matrix weave through these things? Because I think one of the problems I gave myself with this specific series is that I wanted it to be really realistic to how royal restraints and rules can be, where I think like sometimes in a world you can just say like, they're just walking around without guards if they're a prince or a princess. That's fine. But like in this one, I was like, no, like they are going to be trailed. They're going to be always. So then I was like, got myself in some corners because I was like, well, how can I? So yeah, so there was stuff like that that was fun to solve, but frustrating in
I
the
could
beginning.
definitely see how the book was going in that sense, like the restraints and everything. So that's really cool to hear. So what do you like to do? What does EJ Mello like to do for fun?
Fun.
Fun, any hobbies or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I love to hike. We moved from New York City to Colorado for a reason, and it was like to get outside.
Mhm.
Um, Having a toddler, your fun kind of becomes something else.
It's
Yeah.
Um,
their fun.
yeah, it's their fun, exactly. But yeah, I like to color. Like I have adult coloring books. Like I think I'm one of those people that oddly probably in a toxic way. I don't know if it's a healthy way, but my productivity like feeds my soul. So like it
Okay.
even in my activities, I want there to be some sort of output. Which I probably, I'm always working on in therapy. But yeah, so it's usually like I like doing like crafts or I love doing like hand sculpting. I got into that a lot because my mom does pottery and we don't have a kiln here. So I was like, how do I do that? Like so self-drying clay and things like that. Yeah. So but I think the biggest thing is I love just like hiking and being outside.
Mhm.
What about you guys? What do you do for fun besides read?
Read for me,
Yeah.
I got into journaling this year. So,
Oh, you got a what?
journaling and
Oh,
like
nice.
scrapbooking. So like each month, I collect things and then I put it in like my journal,
That's awesome.
as a little keepsake. So it's the first time, I've done it this year. And I don't think I ever told you this, Jenny, but at the beginning of the year, I wrote a letter to myself. And so, like, at the end of the year, I'm gonna go back and read it and see if like
Oh,
any of the goals I put in it or like,
Celeste.
yeah, I don't know. That made me like just saying
I'm
that
like
out loud
teary.
almost made me emotional too.
God.
I just feel like the last few years have just been really hard. So I just wanted to like write it but and see like where I'm at next year
Yeah.
and like how much I've accomplished and things like that. So yeah, so that's what I've been doing and I do enjoy coloring too. And that's because of TikTok.
Oh.
I got addicted to the I now I don't remember their names, but I have one of the coloring books actually right here. So it's like the cozy
Oh,
corner or comfy days, and they're just like really cute pictures. And then I color from time to
yeah,
time. So
it's
that's
so
like my
soothing.
decompress.
Yeah,
You.
it's
But
so
I do enjoy
soothing.
that.
I love that letter idea.
Yeah, I know. I'm like super teary right now because I didn't know that.
Oh,
Well, I love to garden. I have a whole veggie garden, so if I'm not reading, I'm outside
oh,
for
what's in
sure.
it? What have you planted?
Oh God, I've got all kinds of peppers, uh, thyme, basil, tomatoes. I have like two filled with different types of tomatoes because I love them. Onions I'm doing for the first time this year, and beets.
I
So I
wonder,
don't know if that'll
are
work, but
carrots hard? Because I love carrots.
carrots are really hard. I tried it last year and they were like this
Like this
big,
big.
like
Yeah,
super
I did
skinny.
that one year too at my parents' house. And
Yeah.
it was like these little, it's like, how do you get them to get bigger?
So what I heard was that you cannot transplant them, so don't start them in a little pot. You just have to plant them outside when it's time, and they'll
Okay.
grow
Do you
bigger.
have
So
raised beds?
I do. I
Okay.
have six, I
Wow,
think.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
I
I
It's
love
love
calming. I like just being
that.
in the dirt.
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's like our goal is we want to be able to, because like you love tomatoes, like there's certain things we eat all the time. Like
Hmm.
zucchini squash is something we have like with almost every meal. I want that kind of stuff. And like
Yeah.
lettuce is pretty easy.
Hmm.
I
Tomatoes.
kill lettuce every year. Every
Really?
year I try it and I kill it. I don't know what it is.
I
I
would
don't
think
know.
I would think it would be so abundant that like the rabbits come because that
Oh,
happened to us at the old house. We did tomatoes and I think we did romaine and I never ever got to try the romaine because the freaking rabbits would always
yeah.
get to it.
That's why you need those raised beds. But we have crows here, and crows are no joke. And I just feel like they would just, we would need some sort of container because they would
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
Yeah, they have
So
like nets now and
they
things like
do. But the raised beds, the rabbits still get in them. So
really?
yes, I plant Brussels sprouts in front of all of them so they eat those. So I know that by the time they're done eating those, I need to like go out there more to scare them away
Right.
so
because they
you
love
feed the
Brussels
rabbits so
sprouts.
like they
I feed
don't
the
get to the
rabbits.
rest.
That's smart. That's a good technique. You want to know what my dad did? This is TMI.
What?
He used because he had a garden in his backyard. Now they're on like stilted raised beds, So, but
Hmm.
growing up, he would eat red meat, and then he'd go outside and he would pee around the
I knew you were going to
perimeter.
say that.
Yeah, so that
Did it actually work?
I think it worked for the deer. but I
Oh.
don't know if it worked for anything else.
I don't, that's, I'd never even heard that. That's
I mean,
interesting.
also like he probably was being a guy and he was like, I want to go pee outside. Who knows?
He used
That
that as
could
an
be it.
excuse.
That could be
Yeah.
it. I feel like that would be any guy's excuse. They were
Yeah.
like, oh, I can just pee anywhere.
Yeah. It's protecting the plants.
Oh my
Mm,
God.
sure. So if you weren't a writer, what would your career be? I know you said you started off in like the creative kind of space and things like that, but like where would you still be there? Like maybe illustrations or something?
I still work in advertising.
Mhm.
So I think that's what I do as well.
Okay.
That's one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realize how hard it is to make us. You can't be like this. I'm the primary caregiver of my family, or primary, I don't know, whatever the word is. I support my family. So
Mhm.
like my husband during COVID, he quit his job to watch our son.
Mhm.
So I took on those responsibilities while we were all together. And it's just really, unless you're the 1% in the industry or you have another partner or somebody supporting you for insurance, insurance is like the biggest thing, to be honest. You don't get that as a writer, as an
Mhm.
artist.
Mhm.
So you need that somewhere. And if you don't have a partner that can support you there, you will need another job. Also, your publisher, depending on who they are, they don't pay you every month. They'll pay you like a few times a year. So it's just it's just you got to figure out like before you're like, I got a book deal, I'm gonna quit my job. I think you just need to make sure you're thinking of that stuff. I
Mhm.
went out
Yeah.
on a tangent, didn't answer your
No,
question.
no, no, it's fine.
I
Do
was
you
good. I
feel
didn't
like
think
that's
about
kind of
that, the
like
whole
a
insurance part.
no, that and like, do you feel like that's kind of like a misconception in like the book author world where people think because you're traditionally published, like this is like your full-time job
Yeah,
for both
I think it
positions?
is. I think a lot more people have other jobs. They might
Hmm.
not talk about it.
Right.
There's no like shame in it. I mean,
No, no,
it's
no.
you have to and the way advances get paid out, like you don't, even if you got like a six-figure deal, you're not getting that up front. It's probably like broken down in three ways, four ways over the span of maybe 3 years. Like it just
I
depends
never
on,
knew that. I
yeah,
thought like if you got the deal, like here it is, it's like a
yeah,
lump sum and like you dispute, you handle your money how you handle your money. But it's interesting to know like it's no through payments and sometimes it's over the course of a few years. Almost like what is it, athletes, like they get
yeah.
promised a certain amount for a certain amount of years kind of thing. So like they
Mhm.
don't see the 100 million or whatever because it's all through the course
Parsed
of like
out.
a 5 year, 7 year contract kind of thing.
Yeah, so that's how publishing works with like you get an advance.
Mhm.
And the high advances are again very rare. They usually are high if you're like either you go on you could probably think of all the authors that are like that. Like
Yeah.
Sarah J. Maas probably has like an insane. Or it goes on to like a lot of publishers want it and then it goes into auction and then that's when it can go up really high. But even that again is not given in one lump sum. So you get
Right.
a portion on signing and then you get a portion on handing the book in, which can take a year.
Mhm.
And then you get a portion on publishing the book.
Mhm.
So, and that's my experience. So it could be different in other people's. So you don't, yeah. So that's where I just like want any aspiring writers and stuff like that, like really think about. And then again, the book publishes, but you don't get royalties until you pay back your advance. So while it's amazing if you get like $100,000 book deal, just know you have to pay that back once it's out to start earning on it. So you just have to think about that.
Mhm.
And then yeah, like where's your insurance going to come from and things like that. So it's really adulty kind of
Yeah.
word
Well, that's
for that
hard.
thing. But yeah, so that's why I mean I love advertising. That's the weird thing. I like maybe it's not weird, but I love writing and I love advertising. So I was freelancing for a really long time in advertising, which allowed me to write, I think, quicker actually, because I would work in advertising for half the year and then I would take off and write my book for half the year, and it would allow me that time. And now I definitely like fit it in between stuff. But yeah, so but if I could answer if I wasn't in any of those professions, what would I do?
Right.
Um, man, I don't know. It would definitely be something creative. I really like making stuff. So I don't know exactly what it would be, but it would be something in that vein. Like I just think I would want to make something.
Hmm.
Okay.
That's awesome. I wish I was like more creative. Like I want to do pottery so bad.
You can do it.
Do
You can
it.
do
Do
I
it.
it. You
want
could do it with Mike because he's been like, let's go to pottery. Let's do it.
I
He's been
want to
asking
do
me for
that
years.
so bad. You know what else I want to do? I want to make rugs. Have you
Ooh,
ever seen like the
goodness.
little rug like gun thing and like
Ah,
Mm-hmm.
it looks
Oh my God.
easy, but I've seen people try to start it and like the thread doesn't go through like the little mesh thing. And I'm like, that would be me thinking I could just, use it. And it's like, no, there's like a real process.
I
But
did
yeah,
that with cross stitching. I thought I could just cross stitch two pillows, like no problem. And I decided to do like really tiny thread. And that was the biggest mistake. It took me like 6 months to finish,
I was
like
gonna say, wow, that
complete
took a
cross
long
stitching.
time for sure.
Oh my gosh. And I should have done like bigger ones. But
mm,
yeah,
Nice.
that was one of those things that looks like calm and peaceful. And then like your thumbs are
yeah.
bleeding and it's just like, no, this is taking too long.
All right, so let's get into Scorched Skies, book one in the Way of Wings duology. You already kind of talked about what it is. Can you describe it in like 3 words? I
Well, now
know
you,
that's
you
put
will
you on
have
the
to,
spot.
no, it's okay. You'll have to let me know if you agree with these.
Okay.
I would say 3 words. Okay. Um, Romantic,
Yes.
high
Check.
stakes, a hyphen, so one word, high stakes.
Hmm. Check.
I mean, it's emotional. Like I
Yeah.
felt
That
emotional
that's
writing it. Okay.
that's what I
Yeah.
kept saying. I was like emotional, emotional,
Yeah.
emotional.
Yeah, then you put it into my brain. Yeah,
That's
emotional, I would
funny.
say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when I think about the book, it's always like I always think about Zolia and I always think about like his struggle between
Mm.
duty and doing what's right, like the correct thing. But I couldn't put that in 1 word. I
Yeah.
can't figure that out into 1 word.
Hmm.
Yeah, he aches. Like whenever I'd write his point
Ah,
of view, I
oh,
just
Yes,
felt like
yes.
ache.
God, stop.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yes,
horrible.
that's exactly what I got out of him.
Oh.
Like, I feel like he was like battling so many things.
Mhm.
Like, obviously, there's a lot going on, and Tanwin has her story and her struggles, but like, so did he, and like,
Mhm.
it really like, I love him. And then I'm like so sad for him at the same time. But I'm also sad for Tanwin. But for him, it's like, he's lived his life, under, this world and his father and things like that. And like his expectations and his duty. And then here comes Tanwin just like
Yeah.
that's not what life should be,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
opening up his eyes to things that he wasn't aware of. And
Right.
oh my God, I love him so much.
I know. There's
And
a
Right.
lot of like ever after, if you guys have seen that movie.
I
And
love that movie.
yeah, I felt there's a lot of that kind of vibe of like this prince who's like gone through his life the way he feels like it needs to be, even though he doesn't necessarily agree with everything around him.
Hmm.
And then this person just kind of comes into this his orbit that knocks it off axis, and he now has to reevaluate everything.
Yep.
And to do that, yeah, and that's I think the hardest thing about I think the hardest thing about writing him was that he's a hero he's a very fierce hero. And you're going to see more of his fierceness in the second book, but he couldn't do a lot. So a lot of his inaction was action in this book, which I probably frustrated a lot of people, but like he really could not. It would have made things worse for
Or yeah.
everybody if
Hmm.
he
I think we
publicly.
understood it.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
Because he
At
really
least I know
At
I
least
did. I
we did.
understood his
Yeah.
struggle.
Mhm.
I understood why he couldn't do things and why he just like left things the way they were. I get it.
I
Yeah.
feel like in the perfect world, it would be so easy to be like, that's wrong, let's change it. But
Mhm.
when this is how their society has been run for that many years, you can't just change it, you know? And I
Yeah.
felt like for him, he knows it's gonna be like a process and he can't just go in guns blazing and changing their whole society, you
Especially
know?
because he's not king. I think,
Mhm,
and a prince doesn't have that much power. Like
Yeah.
they're representing the future, but they don't have any say. Like
mhm,
they're just supposed to be a mirror of the king
Yeah.
and like
right.
that lineage. So like that's where his power is so limited, even though he's like, has guards and can command people out of a room, he can't change law. He can't even necessarily decide like who he wants to go to dinner with or
Mhm.
just like kind of have relations with anybody he
Yeah,
wants because it's all a reflection of his father. And then also he doesn't have power. Like he can't put a lot into that world yet.
right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's where it's interesting because he is like this royal, but he's like the queen. Like they're just a ornamentation
Yeah.
around the king.
Plus,
It's
he's
like,
got someone to protect. It's not just him. He has to think about someone else. So,
yeah.
Yeah, and even his sister.
yeah.
So that was like I liked their relationship a lot.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, he was very achy. Every time I was in his chapters, I felt very like sad for him.
Yeah. Agreed.
I
So
love,
did we.
I think what I loved about it too was like when he would like just show up with
Mm,
her and like those kind of like angsty moments where he knows he shouldn't be so drawn to her.
mhm.
And there were situations or times where he was like all up in her space and anyone could have just like walked in on them. And I was just like, oh, I love those moments.
Yeah.
I know the
Yeah.
exact one of the exact scenes you're talking about too, the hallway scene where she's
Yes.
peeking out. Oh my God.
When he
Like she
got
just
where he
felt him before he
Yeah.
came, you
Mhm.
know? Oh,
Yeah.
I
And then he
So
just
dreamy.
yeah, I know. What's up? Forbidden Love is just real fun.
It really
yes.
is.
And you know what? Like that was like a forbidden love. Like because he knew like this should not be happening, but he couldn't just get away. Like he couldn't like leave her. Like
No.
it
Good.
was
We
so good.
clearly love it.
So we know that it was inspired by Icarus and things like that, but was there like a moment or something that happened that you were like, this is the story that I want to write? Was there like something you saw, something that you read, and you were like, I really want to write this book? And like that inspiration came for you.
Yeah, I feel like most stories are a bit of a snowball effect in the sense that like I'll have a spark, whether that be like a person, an image, a story, and then like things along as it's kind of ruminating, things start gathering in that really build. And I think that's when I know I have a story. Because like there'll be a lot of ideas. Like I have a notebook that has a lot of like ideas, but
Can we
then when
see?
something gets
Just
hooked,
kidding.
yeah,
Just kidding.
one day. Um, when something continually keeps I keep going back to maybe that one page of an idea and I keep adding like notes to it or like things that inspire me, I think that's what really causes me to go, okay, there's some meat here and I really do want to like I need to tell this story.
Mhm.
And I will say when I was writing Arabella's book, I and this happens usually when I'm writing the last book in something, and this happened with this last book that
Well,
I wrote, like I start getting other things start going boop, 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 like pecking at my head. And so with Arabella's book, I was writing it and I just kept seeing wings and this girl who was horned and like her anger
God.
and like this, I just kept feeling this like anger in her wherever she was. And I was like, what is this? Like go like I was like intrigued, but also like go away. I'm on deadline. Um yeah, that's usually, and with this one, I would say it's like that. So it wasn't necessarily like one thing that sparked it. It was like a lot of things. Like it was that getting started of like, who's this really angry girl? And what are these wings? And like I just kept seeing like the falling and the Icarus thing. And then I've always loved that myth. So that was kind of all wrapped up in it. And then honestly, I just wanted to write like a fuck the patriarchy book, like this thing where like there's so many constraints. There's gods that you have to deal with that are mercurial. Um, and there's a lot of odds that you have to go up against for the things that you know are right and that you believe in. Um, and to the point where I just wanted to like scream. Like I feel like this book is like really drawn out scream for me. Just with like everything that's going on in the past couple of years and yeah, I think that's what was really it. It was like, why is this girl so mad? What is she doing? And then like the Icarus glass ceiling kind of fucked the patriarchy. I was like, I just need something like that.
Yeah,
I
I
love
love
that. I could hear you talk about that forever.
it.
So, like, I know you said that you plot things out, you're super type A, and you hate the drafting part of it. So, how often, if at all, did this book change at all? Like, did you have to just like chuck it and just start all over kind of thing? Like, how did that go for you?
Yeah, you know what was interesting about I like this question. So when I was writing Arbessa's book, I had this idea for this book. And so to sell, I would needed to sell it into my publisher. And because I was hopefully staying with the same one, the process was a little bit shorter for giving them a packet that you sell in. So in that regard, I needed to have a sample chapter and a detailed synopsis. So like how everything was going to go. And that's what was the package to do to try and sell it in. Because they know my writing. I'll be working with the same editor. Um, and oddly enough, the first chapter came so fast and hard. And it was the same chapter that's in this book. Like it was this, I wanted them to meet on page immediately. I wanted there to be this big reveal. I wanted you to be like, because I knew they were then going to separate. So I was like, I need them to meet on page immediately and be like, this is the stakes, this is the world, this girl has this problem, and this is this guy. So I needed a lot to be revealed. So yeah, I wrote that chapter like really fast, which I was shocked because I'm not usually, I kind of toil. And yeah, that came out at me really quickly. And then it got bought, which was great. And they wanted it to be a duology, which was awesome because I haven't written a duology before. And I like new projects like that where I have to challenge myself. Um, and then the book, there were some things that changed. Like I think when I write first drafts, um I put a lot of like unnecessary stuff on the page because I'm still working it out. You know what I mean? It's like I'll
Mhm.
over explain some sort of government thing. I'll over explain like the way the world looks. So there's a lot of like stuff you have to get out. But as far as like the main structure, because it's so outlined in the beginning, I don't change much. There was a
Okay.
character that I had in there, and then I did completely get rid of her.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. So there was, I
I'm
think that
interested.
was, she was, she was going to be, she was going to be someone that was going to go with her to Galia
Okay.
from the recruit from um Zamia, like where she was. And you were gonna kind of see like the stakes of Galia through her eyes because this character signed up for the recruitment, went to the island, but she didn't get placed in um,
okay.
like the nice, oh God, I'm forgetting what they're called, the dens. She got placed in
Hmm.
the Shadow District, which is seedier. And so Tanwin then there was this whole thing with like Tanwin going to find her, and it was like not a good establishment. But then her thread kind of just got there was so many threads to tie that it
Yeah.
was just like, what's her point? And he was also there, so I was like, so we kind of got rid of her.
Hmm.
Okay.
So, speaking of your characters, and now that we know one was cut out completely,
I know.
who was the easiest character to write and who was the most difficult?
I actually I could write Zolia pretty easily. And I really the most difficult was the father
Okay.
POV, because I I had two miscarriages last year.
Oh,
And it was really, I think, and I also have a son. So I was writing his point of view with what was happening with Aberthal in the book
Mm-hmm.
and just going through that, like, parent emotional journey. I
Mm-hmm.
think it was really hard for me to get, it was easy to slip into his mind space, but it's really hard to get out of it. And I think like that was probably the hardest point of view to write for those
I
reasons.
would
yeah.
imagine, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I
It's tough.
bet.
Mm-hmm.
If you could spend a day with one of your characters, who would it be and what would you guys do?
I think I'd hang out with Naya. She just seems super fun.
So fun.
She's probably like really draining on the energy, but I think like or Lakira, she's pretty fun too. And then I really would love to hang out with the Queen in Scorched Skies. I think she'd be a fun, pithy kind of character.
Yeah, I did like her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She was a nice, like, calming presence for Zolia, like that gateway for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we know it will be a duology. Um, do you know like when, like timeline, what the next book will look like?
Yeah, it should be on the
When are
similar
we getting it?
timeline. It should be the similar timeline as this one. So it should be,
Okay.
I hand in the final book in August for production. So it should be in 2026 spring. It should be.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, I'm like, oh, that's like not that far, but really it is. But it's like,
I know.
knowing it's coming, I'm like, oh, that I could
But
wait.
May's almost over, so it'll be here quick. And I
Yeah.
do have a working title, so we'll see. I submitted it with a working title, so we'll see if
Okay.
they all jive with it. Yeah.
Can't
Yay.
wait.
So now we wouldn't be a bookish podcast if we didn't ask you for a book recommendation aside from your own books. So
Yeah.
what's a book you like to recommend regularly?
Well, lately it's a short story, but Alex Harrow, she wrote Starling House,
Oh, okay. Yep.
10,000 Doors of January. But I really liked The Six Deaths of a Saint. It was her short story that she put out with Amazon. And she actually, I think this is what's like the catalyst for her next book that's coming out in October. Um, but I was just like, this is some of the best storytelling writing I've ever read in my
Oh,
life. It's really quick. You'll probably read it in like 30 minutes. But it's written in second person POV, which you kind of have to get, you're
oh,
like, how? So it's basically someone's telling you a story.
Mm.
Um, but I really, really like that. And gosh, what am I reading? I feel like it's really hard to do like one book.
I know. Also, you have to kind of know the person you're recommending to and like what they
Yeah,
want. So it's hard
yeah.
to like
But I love
pin.
like anything V.E. Schwab. I'm really into like everything historical romance. Like that, I think that's what I read a lot when I'm drafting. I can't read the same genre when I'm drafting. It's
A
like,
lot of authors have said that to us that they can't read because they don't want to like
yeah,
they don't want to mess up what their like world is and like kind of get inspired a little bit by something that's
yeah,
similar. But a lot of authors say that like they have to read something outside of their genre while they're writing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because even the tone of voice, like suddenly I'll be like, wait, that's not my, I'm like confused. I'm like, that's not my tone of voice.
I can imagine that your brain just starts going if you're reading that same genre you're writing. I couldn't.
Mhm.
That's too
Yeah,
much
it's hard.
information.
Now I'm
Yeah.
gonna look, because I feel like there has to be something else that I've
Yeah, of course.
oh, I've been doing all of the Anna Wong stuff with like the like King of Envy,
Thinking
King
of
of Spades.
something.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've been like devouring those.
She's that's the Twisted series, right? But Kingdom of Envy is like the spin-off. Am I thinking of the same author?
Yeah, I
It
think
is.
that one
Okay.
just came. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what else I loved was I loved The Assistant to the Villain. Did you guys read that?
I've seen
It
that
sounds
one.
familiar, but I don't think
It's
so.
almost, is it purple
Yes. It's
with
a
like the
really funny
slanted writing?
concept.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like The Office meets the like romantic fantasy.
Okay.
Why haven't I read it? The Office is my favorite
Kenny,
show.
Yeah.
you guys
Oh,
definitely like you'll devour it. It's so funny. You know, it has like it's basically this girl who becomes the assistant to this villain and
mhm.
he lives in this manor and there's like an HR department and like all this stuff, but it's like it's people's heads get
Ridiculous.
cut off and all this stuff. So the HR department's always it's just really funny. It's
I'll
like
have
Just
to
like
check it
stare
out
off
then.
into the camera, like, is this really happening?
yeah. Yeah, it's a trilogy though. So the first two books are there's the I think yeah, two books. The third book's coming out.
Oh,
I'm gonna have
okay.
to check it out.
Yeah, we will. Because, like Jenny said, she loves The Office.
I
But
do.
you see, like getting her to read romance, it has to be like paranormal or fantasy. Or, it has to have.
So I can read romance. I'm just so like picky. If it doesn't grasp me right away, I just can't do it. With fantasy, I know it's going to be hard to get into and I need to give it time and then I'll love it. But with romance, I'm just so picky.
Yeah,
So
that makes
picky.
sense. I think contemporary romance is really hard to write. Um, and I also just want escapism. So I think that's why I usually do historical romance because for some reason that feels fantasy to me because it was like once upon a time a
Yeah,
long
I
ago.
don't think
So
I've done
what
a
genre?
historical.
So if you're not reading fantasy, Jenny, what do you read?
Horror,
Okay.
Everything else. Everything else. Well, I do a
thriller,
little bit of
horror.
romance. I do a lot of horror. I do thriller. I do like historical fantasy. Leslie Penelope, she's like my
Yeah.
favorite historical fantasy author. I'll read everything that she writes.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's mostly like horror, thriller, and fantasy.
that's
Mhm.
amazing. I
I
feel
love
like I can't
romance.
read the scary stuff. I
I
get so
love it.
scared.
Love it,
hmm
love it.
I
It's
tell her that all the time. I'm like, I know she has so many like good horror thriller like kind of wrecks, and I'm always so nervous because like I'm a big scaredy cat, and I'm like, I don't want to like have nightmares. And I feel like when you read something, it's so much more detailed than like watching a movie. So like it's gonna creep me out even more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I guess I could do thrillers. Or
hmm
what's the difference? Like, I think I could do something where it's like suspenseful,
Yeah.
but not
Yeah.
like gruesome.
Mhm.
hmm
Okay.
hmm
Yeah,
I could
some,
see that.
so what would be
So
like I was gonna say, like,
Uh,
what's like the book you would recommend that would be like introducing someone to the genre?
I don't want to give you something then and then you're like, "Oh my God, this is awful and scary."
she
But
would be like, "That's an introduction,
so
Jenny."
okay. So I just read Be Mine by Lizzie Barber, and that's a psychological thriller, and it's very cult like. So it's not that it's scary, it's just like you're kind of peering behind you, like making sure like nobody's watching you, kind of scary. So
Okay,
that's a good one. That was a really good one. I really enjoyed that one.
okay, I'll have to check it out.
Don't yell at me.
Will
You're
be
like,
good. I'll
it's
just read
scary.
it only in the daytime.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. That's like me in scary movies. I have to watch it like during the day. There still has to be some daylight.
Yes, 100%.
Would you say historical romance is your favorite genre, or do you
To
have
read,
to read? Yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
I think it's definitely like my palate cleanser. Like I
Mm,
think when I'm like in between, like if I'm reading a bunch of like certain things or I feel like in a slump, like sometimes I'll often reread a book that's usually a historical romance that can like cleanse my palate.
mhm,
And then I can like read anything. Like I really like contemporary books, contemporary romance, not romance, like although I like that kind of stuff.
mhm.
But yeah, I think it would be my palate cleanser for
I
all of
want to
them.
get into more like historical romance. Who would be like your go-to historical romance author?
Well, who I think I really Evie Dunmore, I am obsessed with her books. The Bringing Down the Duke, I have read maybe 6 or 7 times. I think it's just such a perfect. She just does such a historically It's about women's suffrage. I can never say that the name.
Yes.
Yes.
We'll go with that because
And,
I know I'm gonna butcher
yeah.
it.
Um, but it takes place at that time, and it delves into like dukes and earls, and like again, maybe that's why I resonated with it, because like I treated my book similarly, but it really does do, like, you can't just be with a commoner if you're a duke. Like there's things involved. So that's a forbidden romance, and I really, he's like a really stern, grumpy man. Um, yeah. So anyway, Bringing Down the Duke, you've done more, highly recommend.
Okay.
And anything Lisa Kleypas you can do. I mean, those things, just tear through those. And of course, like all the Bridgerton stuff, if you haven't, if
Mm,
you like that, the books are great.
mm. Yeah,
I think I only ever read one historical romance that I can think of, and that was the Liana de la Rosa. I think
Hmm.
that's her name, and only the first book.
I think I
Yeah.
actually
I
have.
liked it. I just,
Is it
it's
the
not something I read, so.
Yeah, it's
Isabel
okay.
and the Rogue? Something like that?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yep,
Yep.
I have it right there. I'll have to read it.
I
Add it to
enjoyed
the
it, so
list.
you're gonna love it even
Yeah.
more.
I was like that name sounds familiar. I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got that
Mhm.
one. I need
All
to read.
right. So, do you have anything coming up? Do you have any book signings? Do you have any like virtual events or anything like that that you want to let people know about?
Thankfully, no. April was like crazy for
Love
me.
that for you.
Yeah, I'm taking a little bit of a break from like being out and about. April, Scorched Skies released. My second book was also due to my publisher at the end of the month. I did a Polycon, so I went to DC for that signing. And then we had a big like indie bookstore celebration with the Spicy Librarian.
Hmm.
Uh yeah, so that was like all in April. So it was like with me, Ivy Asher, and Raven Kennedy. We did that. So it was a lot of stuff in April. So I'm really looking forward to just kind of working on my book.
Relaxing. Mm-hmm.
Um, I have an exciting project that is not to do with Scorched Skies that I'm working on, that I'm hoping that I can share at some point. It's very different in form than I'm used
Okay.
to. But yes, I'm excited to eventually share that.
And
And
we're excited for
We're
you and
excited.
can't wait to see.
I'll try to zoom in on your post-its.
yeah, but it'll
That's
be
so
interesting
funny.
because I'm gonna have to be like I'm not I'm a multitasker, but I'm not a story multitasker. So it'll
Mhm.
Mm.
be interesting because I'll be working on my dev edits for the second book of Way of Wings, while also working on this other project in tandem. So it'll be an interesting
Fun.
process.
I'm excited
That
for
is
you.
fun. Yes. All right. So before we finish up here, do you want to do a little quick, like, read my book, tell
Yeah,
us what it's about, and I'll hold it up.
thank you. Yeah. So Scorched Skies, if you like forbidden love, if you like angst, if you like a prince and a commoner, if you like a heroine who I guess like it would I don't even know if they'd be grumpy sunshine. I don't know what their tropes would be.
I think I like a mild version of that,
Yeah.
Yeah, like
of a
he's very
grumpy
duty bound
sunshine.
and she's trying to look on the bright side of things, but she
Yes.
also has a lot on her plate.
Mm.
Um, Yeah, I'm really bad at pitching my book, guys. Scorched Skies.
Oh,
It's
you did a great job.
It's
I love it. It's a
amazing.
great book, so please go read it.
yeah,
We
it's
loved
multiple
it.
point of views.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The audiobook is also has two narrations. So if you like audiobooks,
And I
I
did
short.
listen to that,
I
and it
want
was really
to.
good.
Oh, good.
I'm
I think they
ready
did
to
such a
listen
good
to the
job.
audio.
I did listen to it. I enjoyed it.
Oh, good. I'll let them know.
Yeah.
I think they killed it, like knocked it out of the park. When I heard her voice, I was just like, absolutely.
Hmm.
And I think he did a really good job being Zolia.
Yeah. All right.
Now I gotta listen to it.
Now you have to
I
listen to
read
it. I
it.
wanted to do it before we chatted to like re-remember things, so it was
Mhm.
perfect timing. So yeah,
Thanks,
thank you
ladies.
so
Thanks for,
much.
Yes, of
forgiving
course.
my me not showing up yesterday.
It's all good.
It's
It
fine.
worked out.
Yes,
Yeah,
it did.
Fine. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. We're happy to have you anytime you want to come on.
oh
Okay?
yeah.
Just let us know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next book for
All
sure.
right.
This was
Mhm.
You have a
awesome.
great, great night.
Thank you. Bye, ladies.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.